Ahsoka is the newest Star Wars show to release on Disney+, and is most famous for being helmed by Dave Filoni, who created the character 18 years ago when the Star Wars The Clone Wars movie theatrically released, to launch the new animated TV show, Star Wars The Clone Wars. And after 18 years, the character of Ahsoka is finally getting her own show. And that is a major issue. Before I begin the plot summary of Ahsoka, I would like to do a little recap on the characters, since in order to watch the show, you would have to watch The Clone Wars and Rebels to understand the character. And I know people are not going to want to do that, so that's why I'm here. And also to outline problems going into the show, because there are many. So first off, I want to make it clear, I don't hate Ahsoka as a character. She's actually one of my favorites, since I grew up watching Star Wars The Clone Wars, and the story arcs with her and Anakin were some of my favorites. And seeing her go from an annoying little sidekick, who was only there to be annoying, to grow into a competent Jedi that becomes a sort of sister to Anakin is really cool. It's an interesting concept. And the series finale is one of my favorites of Ahsoka's arc, especially the ending. This is just crazy. I know it doesn't make sense, but this is just peak. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Mwah. And I didn't even care about watching Star Wars Rebels until Ahsoka showed up, and then I started watching. And it was well worth it. In Rebels, we get to see Ahsoka wrestle with the aftermath of Revenge of the Sith and Anakin's fall to the dark side.
Ahsoka, why did you leave? Where were you when I needed you?
I made a choice. I couldn't stay.
You were selfish.
No!
You abandoned me. You failed me. Do you know what I've become?
We also get to see her showing Ezra who Anakin was and sharing who she thought he was as a leader.
He's amazing. I've watched these recordings to help me with my own saber training.
You should have seen him in person. Anakin Skywalker. He was my master.
Kanan said he was the greatest warrior the Jedi had in the Clone Wars.
He was powerful, rarely lost a battle. But what surprised people was how kind he was. He cared deeply about his friends and looked out for them until the end.
The fight between Darth Vader and Ahsoka is probably the best in all of Star Wars animation. Ahsoka sees what her old master has become and wants to avenge him.
Our long-awaited meeting has come at last.
I was beginning to believe I knew who you were behind that mask. But it's impossible. My master could never be as vile as you.
Anakin Skywalker was weak. I destroyed him.
Then I will avenge his death.
Then hearing the voice of her old master through the broken helmet, choosing to stay and not leave him again like she did when she left the Order, almost like she blames herself for Anakin's fall.
Ahsoka.
Anakin. I won't leave you. Not this time.
Then you will die.
Good stuff. And as much as I enjoyed her appearance in Mando Season 2 and Rosario Dawson's portrayal of the character, this leads me to my biggest problem with the character, and that is that Ahsoka should already be dead. Remember that really good scene I just mentioned? Yeah, well that's completely ruined in the finale of Season 4 of Rebels, when the rat boy Ezra time travels and goes back and just plucks Ahsoka out of a meaningful moment. I'm not kidding, by the way. Ezra goes into this place called the World Between Worlds, sees Ahsoka in a random portal, and just grabs her from that moment so Dave Filoni can save his precious little golden egg.
I won't leave you. Not this time.
Yeah, when Ahsoka says this, it pretty much means nothing anymore, because when Ahsoka gets taken away and just plucked out, she just kind of says, wow, that's crazy. Anyway, time to be Gandalf the White for some reason. What great storytelling, Dave Filoni. Star Wars is saved. Another reason why she should be dead is because she serves no narrative purpose to the overall story of Star Wars after that moment in Rebels. When this episode ends, it just makes Return of the Jedi better for me, knowing that as hard as Ahsoka tried to redeem the remnants of her old master and friend, the only person who truly can is his only son, Luke Skywalker. When we see Darth Vader walk out of the rubble of the Sith Temple, we can only assume that Ahsoka either died in the collapse or was killed at the hands of her former master. But oh no! Ooga booga time travel! Star Wars is saved! Leading into another problem with the character. Dave Filoni seems to love just shoving her into every significant moment in the Star Wars story. In the series finale of Clone Wars, just before the Siege of Mandalore, Ahsoka is getting ready to leave, and we hear an alert that goes off, and we hear that Coruscant is under attack, and the Chancellor has been taken captive, which is pretty cool, explaining why Anakin and Obi-Wan couldn't be at the Siege of Mandalore, and why Ahsoka isn't in the events of Revenge of the Sith. But also, Ahsoka says this, which is really weird.
I understand that as usual you're playing politics. This is why the people have lost faith in the Jedi. I had too, until I was reminded of what the Order means to people who truly need us.
Right now, people on Coruscant need us.
No, the Chancellor needs you.
That's not fair.
What do you mean, the Chancellor needs you? Bro, do you see this? Coruscant is being attacked! Innocent lives are at stake, Ahsoka. It's not just the Chancellor, it's the entirety of the planet! Then later in the Siege of Mandalore, Ahsoka talks to Obi-Wan about Anakin, and it was kind of cool interconnecting it with Revenge of the Sith, but it was baffling that we were talking about Anakin and the Jedi Council's plan to overthrow Palpatine in the middle of this large room with zero privacy. This seems like a conversation that should be moved to another room, just saying. But then later, after Ahsoka is told by Maul that Anakin is the key to all of it, and the Chancellor is grooming him to be the next Sith in line to take down the Jedi Order, she goes to talk to the Jedi Council and doesn't tell them any of this. Excuse me? I understand that she has a grudge against the Council because of what they did to her in her past, but Ahsoka, sit down for a second. Let me break this down for you. You were just told by a former Sith apprentice that the Chancellor is not only a Sith, but the Sith Lord and has infiltrated the highest seat in government, and he has been grooming your master and practically Big Brother, aka Anakin Skywalker, aka the Chosen One, to become the most powerful Sith Lord and overthrow the current democracy and create the most powerful Sith Empire known to the galaxy. Oh, and also lead the genocide of the entire Jedi Order and death of thousands. I wonder if there's a group of people that could stop this immediately. Oh wait! The Jedi Council! The people you're talking to right now! Yeah, this damages Ahsoka's character a lot for me, and is probably the worst of it, I think. Then you have smaller instances like Ahsoka showing up at Padme's funeral in Tales of the Jedi. Just feels weird. At this point, Dave Filoni could put her in any scene in the original trilogy and say, oh yeah, she's here, or yeah, she's just in the next room over there. He could point at any scene in Return of the Jedi on Endor and just say, oh yeah, she's behind that bush. And I would completely believe that Dave Filoni said that. But Andrew, she's obviously going to be significant because she's been in Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. She's obviously going to be important, and Dave Filoni is writing the show, so he can't possibly mess up his own character, right? Right? Huh. That's funny. Remember the example I just used earlier when Ahsoka didn't give the Council incredibly important information? Yeah, you know who wrote that? Dave Filoni. So yeah, that's a yikes from me, Dave. Also, regarding the live action stuff she's been in, I can't tell you a single significant thing she's done in any of them. In Mando, she shows up, talks to Din, finds out Baby Yoda's name, then says she can't train him because he's too angry little baby boy, and then leaves. Book of Boba Fett is the worst offender of this, as we see Ahsoka Tano, Anakin's Padawan, and Luke Skywalker, Anakin's son, in the same place, same time, same shot, and I cannot tell you a single thing they told each other. This is such a waste, knowing that these two people had a conversation and nothing came of it. Imagine the questions that Luke would have had for Ahsoka about his father and what kind of mentor and leader he was during the Clone Wars. Talk about the Clone Wars and the camaraderie that Ahsoka and Anakin form while fighting for the Republic. Talk about Anakin and Ahsoka's relationship with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Talk about Anakin's inevitable fall to the dark side. God, there's so much here to talk about, and none of these conversations are happening. And then we cut back to the show on Tatooine, and we're told that Boba Fett grew up surrounded by water. The only thing she does that is relevant to the Ahsoka show is ask the crime boss lady where Thrawn is, and we never get an answer, so it's whatever. I guess that's all Star Wars fans need these days. Ooga booga, I get the reference. Anyway, now that I've set up the issues going into the show, let's actually talk about Ahsoka the show, which is why you're here. Ahsoka, Episode 1. Master and Apprentice. We start with a title crawl that is just so poorly made. It looks like it's from a fan film. Honestly, I think fan films can do it better. What are you doing? Why is it red? Why isn't it tilted like every other title crawl? I could make a better looking title crawl in 30 seconds. Oh, whatever, let's read this. The evil galactic empire has fallen, and the new republic has risen to take its place. However, sinister agents are already at work to undermine the fragile peace. A plot is underway to find the lost Imperial Grand Admiral Thrawn and bring him out of exile. Once presumed dead, rumors are spreading of Thrawn's return, which would galvanize the Imperial remnants and start another war. Former Jedi Knight Ahsoka Tano captured one of Thrawn's allies and learned of a secret map, which is vital to the enemy's plan. Ahsoka now searches for the map as her prisoner, Morgan Elsbeth, is transported to the New Republic for trial. Wow, what a great start. Also, before I move on, I'd like to say that all of the information that we're given in this title crawl is just given through us naturally through the dialogue in this episode. And I don't know why it had to do a title crawl. Just say screw it, do a Rogue One, and just start with the action.
A ship has entered this sector.
I'm receiving their signal now, sir. They're Jedi.
Say again?
The signal is an old Jedi clearance code. They say they're here to see the prisoner.
Captain, who are they?
I'm calling their bluff. Signal them to come aboard. I want to meet these Jedi.
Okay, what's with this guy? Oh, I don't believe you, so I'm gonna let you on my ship. Why not call them? If anything, knowing that it's a Jedi clearance code means that you would 100% want to talk to them before inviting them on your ship. Or at least scan them for living beings and also bombs so that when they come on your ship, they don't immediately detonate it in kamikaze. The chances of it being Jedi are incredibly slim, even after the New Republic took over. But no, invite these likely to be dangerous people onto your ship, carrying an incredibly valuable prisoner on board. So now it's confirmed that both the Empire and the New Republic are absolutely incompetent. Actually, the Empire is probably more competent than the New Republic, considering that in Andor, the Empire is shown to be a force to be reckoned with. But I can't tell you a single competent thing the New Republic has ever done in all of the Star Wars media. So I guess that makes the rise of the First Order more believable.
I don't understand. You're no Jedi. Just some overconfident Imperial trash who just pushed their luck too far.
Bro, we can see a lightsaber. Why are you so confident? This is such a chill meeting with people that are interested in a valuable asset and that are in Sith garb and also have lightsabers.
You're right about one thing, Captain. We are no Jedi.
Oh, look, he just got stabbed. And he dies. I'm glad that Dave is staying consistent with the basic rules of Star Wars and how lightsabers work. This will be relevant later. Also, before he dies, he just turns away from the Sith right in front of him. Like, bro, the threat is right there. He's the giant guy right in front of you. Also, the music is incredibly anticlimactic. This is probably the worst music that I've heard in a Star Wars show or movie. It sounds like if you were to take John Williams' original score for the original trilogy and then just load it into piano tiles and play it on easy mode.
Captain's dead, so I have the security detail.
Fun fact, the gun she's given is the same model as Jyn Erso's blaster from Rogue One. The A180 is a very sexy blaster, and honestly, it's my favorite Star Wars blaster in all of the galaxy. By the way, this is the only compliment I will be ever giving the show. I also find it weird that she just has a guy that holds her gun, like she doesn't have her own holster. Just kind of strange. Moving on.
How many targets are there?
2, but they split up.
Wow, she got there fast. Apparently the bridge is just right next to the hangar, I guess. Also, there's a hallway fight, and people on the internet thought that this was cool, and they even said that it was better than Darth Vader's in Rogue One. Which, I mean, come on, you have to be joking. The movement is so stiff in this scene, and what's this guy doing? Why does he fly back so far? He just got shot. Why is he flying? Anyway, then Baylan just opens the astromech lock, and the door just opens. And he also just opens Morgan's locked cuffs. Okay. And then they leave. We cut to Ahsoka, and she seems to be investigating the remnants of an old temple. And this is just Indiana Jones for about 5 minutes. And when I say it's like Indiana Jones, I mean it. This is kind of a shot-for-shot remake of the Raiders scene, except the difference is Spielberg knows how to dynamically light a shot and how to dynamically shoot a shot in order to make sure that just because there's no dialogue, it's still entertaining. But with Ahsoka, it has neither of those things. Except this time it's moving rock pillars like it's a puzzle in Jedi Fallen Order, and she gets this ball thing. I assume that this temple is made by the Zepho since it kind of fits their aesthetic. She jumps back up and sees some droids. And setting up the fight here is terribly shot. At first there's one droid, and then 2 more speak, and then this third one just kind of hops into frame, and it's like, okay, this is a decent start. And then we're showed a wide shot, and there's just 5 of them now. To fix this, all you have to do is have all 4 of the droids say us, droids in order to set it up better. And also, you know, shoot it better as well, but whatever. Anyway, she jumps down a hole again and starts playing reverse whack-a-mole. It's very lucky that she knows exactly where the droids were. Dave should have just stuck to animation and made this an animated show, because this is just basically a kid's cartoon. Anyway, she jumps back up to kill the remaining droids, and oh wait, the two that she reverse whack-a-moled climbed out of the hole? So did she not kill them using the element of surprise? So she just spooked them and let them live, even though they would have been incredibly vulnerable to attack.
Jedi's primary weapon is a lightsaber. There need to be a lot of lightsaber fights. And they have to be good, because our fans know the difference. And then the droids start initiating self-destruction, and they even say it, which is kind of weird. I don't know why you would want to make it known to everyone around you that you're about to self-destruct. It's also kind of funny how they fought her for around 30 seconds and then just said GG and decided to off themselves. Like, you guys know you need that map too, right? Why are you trying to blow it up? We've seen the self-destructing droid before in Mando, and that's because that droid's protocol is to make sure that it never gets captured. But in this, it's just like, nah, we out. Anyway, Ahsoka starts running away and the droids start exploding, and oh my god, was Oppenheimer here? I am absolutely baffled at the fact that they put an atomic bomb inside of a droid and just let it walk around. What if it got shot and the bomb inside of it got shot? You would just kill everyone around you. This isn't a real problem yet, but it will be later. Anyway, she walks into the ship and we see Hu Yang from the Clone Wars. I love him. He can do no wrong. Anyway, while they're on the ship, they get a call from Hera, so they go to Hera. Cut to the ship that was raided earlier, and we see that it's been damaged, even though Baylan didn't shoot at it at all. Unless while leaving, he did a bit of trolling and shot it, I guess. Just made his rounds around the ship, I guess. I don't know. We see Hera, and, yikes. We're gonna see it later in the show, but the makeup for Hera is just god-awful. Especially her contact lenses. They're so flumpy. And also Mary Elizabeth Winstead is phoning it in the entire time. Anyway, Ahsoka and Hera are looking at the recording of Baylan and Shin. Hera seems to be confused about who they are, asking,
They seem to have abilities like you.
Hera, do I need to sit you down again? You've seen Darth Vader. You know what Sith are. You even know who Jedi are. Not only have you met Ahsoka, you've also met Ezra, and you also dated Kanan and had a child with him. Dave, do you remember anything from Rebels? You know, the show that you wrote? Anyway, Ahsoka starts talking about the star map, saying that this ancient ball has a map leading directly to Thrawn. What? Literally, how is this possible? This is just the Skywalker dagger all over again. How could this ball that was left by an ancient race of people lead to Thrawn, who was teleported off into a random location in the galaxy by space whales? And also, how could Ahsoka or Morgan possibly know this to be true? No answer? Great, moving on. Hera then doubts that Thrawn is alive, but Ahsoka affirms it to be true, talking about rumors of his return. Even though he was teleported far away by space whales, these rumors have to be false. How could anyone possibly know that Thrawn is returning other than making up BS? Anyway, Hera then asks if that means Ezra is alive. Ahsoka says she hopes so. So how do you think Hera would respond, considering that Ezra was like a son to both her and Kanan in Rebels? How would Hera respond knowing that there's a slight chance that someone she cares about deeply, who is presumed dead, could be alive? Well,
If Thrawn survived, does that mean Ezra?
I hope so.
Nothing, apparently. Remember when I said she was just phoning it in? Yeah, she's phoning it in. Hera then asks if it can be unlocked, but it can't be. So Hera says that Sabine can help crack it. What makes her so great at unlocking ancient balls? I don't know. You know who might be a good source of information to go to in order to unlock this ancient ball? Luke Skywalker. Actually, yeah, what is Luke Skywalker doing in the universe right now? I don't think he would be that busy, because the last student he had, he kicked out, so he has no students, and he's pretty much just chilling on that random planet. He has time. Or if for some reason Luke is not in the picture, maybe go to a collector or someone like Luthen from Andor, someone who is a collector of ancient relics and can probably decipher the code, or at least give you information about it. But no, Sabine, for some reason. Cut to Lothal, and Mr. Krabs is speaking to the people during a dedication ceremony to the mural of the rebel crew that defeated the Empire during the Battle of Lothal. And during the speech, he just says several years. He just says several years ago.
On this day, several years ago, the Empire was defeated.
which just kind of confirms that Dave Filoni has no idea when this takes place precisely. In fact, that's how it's been for the entirety of the Mando series and Book of Boba Fett. They just have no idea when this actually takes place, specifically. Anyway, Sabine was supposed to be there, but she's not there. Well, where is she? She's being a punk because she's cool and quirky, listening to weird Star Wars rock music. Honestly, I'm gonna say it, Cal's music choices were better. Also, why doesn't she want to be at the dedication ceremony for her friends who died in the Battle of Lothal? You would think it would be a great honor not only to be one of the people painted amongst your friends, but also given the opportunities to speak at the ceremony. But no, who has time for honoring your friends for giving their lives to liberate a planet from the Empire? That's for losers. Anyway, some officers show up to stop her and she just says no and does this. Okay. And the craziest thing is after this, one of the pilots just nods with respect for some reason. It's like, okay. She goes home and we see her cat, which is incredibly robotic because for some reason Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are obsessed with terrible practical effects, but whatever. She feeds the cat and then opens a box and plays a recording of Ezra, and apparently he's made a special recording for her with the most generic dialogue possible. Also during this, he says,
We're not really family, but you're like a sister to me.
which is really weird considering that Ezra had a crush on her during the entirety of Rebels, but okay. Apparently Dave forgot his own characters again. Cut to the temple that got Oppenheimered earlier, and Morgan, Balin, and Shin are looking around at the rubble. Apparently Morgan is a Night Sister? Okay. Looking a little tan to be one of them, don't you think? Also, this was a Night Sister temple? Okay. That'll be relevant later. Shin is then sent to Lothal because they think that Ahsoka will be there, or specifically one of her friends. Then we cut to Sabine having a Force vision for some reason. Apparently she can just have that now. Then we cut back to Mr. Krabs and he's with Ahsoka and Hera, and then Sabine shows up and says this.
You missed the ceremony.
Was that yesterday? It slipped my mind.
You were missed, Sabine. Everyone was there.
Again, this irks me that she sees no problem with not showing up to a dedication ceremony to her friends who died during a battle liberating this planet from the Empire, but okay, whatever, she's quirky. Then we are left with Ahsoka and Sabine just looking at each other.
You're gonna want to hear what she has to say.
I think I know how to find Ezra.
Which is funny because if you haven't seen Rebels, you're probably thinking that there's a lot of context for the relationship and that you're missing it only because you haven't seen the show. Well, I've seen Rebels and I'm lost as well. These two characters have barely talked to each other in Rebels. And it's so bizarre that Dave Filoni chose these two people to be the main focus of the show. I hate to say it, but if Ahsoka needs a Jedi to help unlock the ball, why doesn't she go to Luke Skywalker, who is an actual Jedi Master? But whatever, I guess we're stuck with Sabine. Anyway, Sabine and Ahsoka talk and there's drama between them. And then Ahsoka leaves to talk to Hu Yang. But before that, Ahsoka says this.
Can I take this?
Where are you going?
Somewhere I can think more clearly. I'm not sure that's a good idea.
Why?
This isn't just about finding Ezra. It's about preventing another war.
You think I don't know that?
The map stays here.
Okay.
That'll be funny later. Anyway, Hu Yang is talking about the lightsabers and says that one of them was used by a Jedi named Balin Skull. His last name is Skull. It's so edgy. And then Hu Yang goes to say that the other hilt is unknown. Ooh, mysterious. Then Ahsoka goes to talk to Sabine, and oh, she's off to her house. We also see Shin in the background and she's stalking Sabine, which I will say this is a pretty cool shot in the show, but it also just looks like she's trying to be Darth Maul so bad. Anyway, we see a short scene of Sabine looking at the ball and contemplating it, and then we just cut back to Ahsoka and she says this.
She took the map off the ship when I explicitly told her not to.
What did you think was gonna happen when you left the quirky emo punk alone with the ball? God, Ahsoka, you're so smart. They then talk about Sabine and how she's a Mandalorian, so that's why she's a terrible person, apparently. We cut back to Sabine, and she's finally figured out the ball. She's just done it. She's just so cool, so quirky, and so smart. She just solves the ball. Anyway, when she solves the ball, we're shown this.
This is it.
Oh boy, I really hope they aren't teasing intergalactic travel, because if so, that has catastrophic world-building implications that destroy all of the continuity. She goes outside and starts looking through binoculars at space like she's gonna be able to see this other galaxy. Listen, Sabine, that's not how binoculars work. You're not just gonna be able to see an entirely different galaxy, millions of trillions of light years away, with only a pair of binoculars. But whatever. Anyway, she gets attacked by a droid. Who could have known? She even starts punching it, which is crazy. Hey, what happens when you try to take on a machine in hand-to-hand combat? Oh yeah, I guess these robots are just made of pillows and couch cushions then. Anyway, there are two of them now, and one of them goes into her house and steals the ball and destroys Sabine's backup files. Sabine continues to fight the droid and uses the gun on his back to shoot it in the foot? Okay. And for some reason, this causes the droid to lose its grip on her? Okay. She then goes to the elevator to stop the other droid, but is too late. Then we cut back to Hu Yang, and he goes to tell Ahsoka and Hera that Sabine is in danger. And it just looks like Ahsoka and Hera are just standing, looking at each other. Okay. But anyway, Ahsoka takes her ship and begins flying over there. But also, while she's flying over there, she doesn't fly above the city, which would be easier. She just decides to dangerously weave through buildings. Okay. Seems a bit inefficient, but whatever. Sabine then goes into her house to grab her lightsaber and heads down, even though if she wanted to catch up to them faster, she might want to put on her jetpack that she owns, unless Dave Filoni forgot about that too. Anyway, she goes down the elevator and, oh, they're just standing there. So that elevator is just instant teleportation now? Also, why would these two people be standing here? They have what they need. They have the ball. They have the ancient map that for some reason leads to Thrawn. They can leave now. But no, we need a fight scene so the audience won't get bored. So they start fighting, and during this fight, all I could think of is this wacky quote from Dave Filoni.
And they have to be good, because our fans know the difference. Because our fans know the difference.
Huh, that's funny. And while Ahsoka is flying over to Sabine, this happens. And then the show ends. God, what a terrible first episode. It can only go up from here, right? Right? Episode 2, Toil and Trouble. We start with Sabine and she's having another force vision thing, and I don't know if this scene is trying to tell us that Ahsoka can hear them or not, because she looks over right when they start happening. And if she can hear them, why? Ahsoka then wakes her up and Sabine says that the droids took the map. Ahsoka asks if she took records of what she found, but the droids destroyed them. Ahsoka then asks how many droids there were, and Sabine answers that there were 2. We then cut to the Stonehenge-looking place, and Baylan and Shin are meeting with the ball and put it at the center of this giant dial. They then talk and stare at each other for minutes on end, and then we cut back to Ahsoka. Ahsoka is at the bottom of Sabine's tower, and she's investigating it, and then does this. Yes, she has the power of psychometry now, I guess. Let me read a little fun fact about psychometry from the wiki for you. Psychometry was a force power in which a force user could learn information about the past of an object or those who've interacted with it. To experience the force echo of the object and those who have interacted with it, all the force user needed to do was touch the object or, in case of a location, enter it. That's a really cool ability. Now I wonder how long it took for Ahsoka to learn this ability. Oh wait, let me continue reading. Psychometry was not a power that could be achieved through careful cultivation, as only those who were born with the power could do so. So how on Earth, or any plane of existence, can Ahsoka use this ability, Dave? Dave, You've written a character with psychometry before. Did you just forget how that works too? I think it would have been cooler if Ahsoka just Aragorned her way through investigating what happened. Maybe she sees footprints in the tall grass. Maybe she sees lightsaber gash marks in the ground. And when she goes upstairs, she sees blaster marks in the floor and the wall. And that's how she figures out what happened last night. But no, they have to go through this whole expository thing like we didn't just watch the first episode 30 minutes ago because it premiered on the same day. Anyway, Ahsoka goes upstairs, says hello to the cat, and starts looking around, and she finds the message that Ezra left for Sabine. And then the robot that didn't leave for some reason decides to show up, and Ahsoka kills it. Alright, remember in the beginning of the first episode when those droids exploded with the power of an atomic bomb? Why doesn't this droid just do that at any time between the fight with Sabine and this moment here? Then Ahsoka would be dead, thus ending the fear of being tracked by her. And it would also end the show, and there's that positive there too. Anyway, Ahsoka takes the severed head and gives it to Sabine, and she says that she can get the data from the droid, but it might explode.
Perhaps we should perform this operation somewhere else.
Oh, that's a good idea, Hu Yang. So that means that Ahsoka and Sabine are going to take it somewhere else where the hospital and the rest of the city are not in danger, right? Right? No! They're just gonna do it right inside the hospital, even though Ahsoka has first-hand experience with these droids and the power of an explosion from them. What a great group of characters! I love Dave Filoni! But then while Sabine is hacking and it's about to explode, Hu Yang deactivates it and just saved everyone in the hospital. He is the only true hero of the show. Also, the hacking game that Sabine is playing just looks like she's playing Wordle, which is really funny to me, and I'm very curious to know what the word of the day was. Then Sabine says that the droid is from Corellia, which is the New Republic's shipyard. Ahsoka then says that Morgan had factories on Corellia. That's very convenient that you know that. Hera says that the Imperial operation should have been dismantled after the rebellion, and Ahsoka just says, "Did you check?" What? Did nobody check to see on Corellia? The New Republic's biggest shipyard? Cool, I guess? It's just crazy to me. This is baffling. Anyway, we cut back to Baylan and Shin, and Morgan shows up. And apparently Baylan and Shin have just been standing here around waiting for her the entire time. It's not really a criticism, it's just really funny to me. Morgan then sees the ball, and Baylan asks who made this place. Morgan answers,
"An ancient people from a distant galaxy."
Oh, great. Morgan starts lifting the ball and opening it and showing the Star Wars galaxy as we know it. Then she starts opening it up more, showing the entirety of the Star Wars universe. Then a beam connects our galaxy to another. Then Morgan says this.
"This is our galaxy." That is our destination.
I don't know about you, but I absolutely hate the idea of intergalactic travel in Star Wars. The idea by itself is fine, I guess, but in execution, this is going to be catastrophic for the canon of Star Wars. But it's fine because Dave Filoni has never cared about canon in the entirety of his career working at Lucasfilm. As Morgan said, the Night Sisters knew of this. Why haven't they brought this up before at all? Or why didn't they just shoot off into a different galaxy? And then also on top of that, let's see what Morgan says now.
While Grand Admiral Thrawn is banished.
So I'll say it again. How on earth would an ancient ball that predates Thrawn have the exact location to where Thrawn is? Again, this is just a Skywalker dagger all over again. And then Baylan says this.
Pathway to Peridia.
Some call it that.
The children of the Jedi Temple call it that. It comes from old stories, fairy tales.
So even Jedi knew of intergalactic travel too and didn't bother trying to figure it out? Huh, I wonder where that would have been handy. I don't know. Order 66? Oh no, your entire race of people is being Jedicided? Zoom zoom, we gone. Oh, and then this also happens.
Thrawn calls to me.
What? I thought the whole thing about Thrawn was that he was a really good Imperial Admiral and was really good at strategy and war. Is he Force sensitive now too? What do you mean Thrawn is speaking to you? I need answers.
Across time and space.
He's talking to you across time and space? Alright, I'm done with this scene. Goodbye. Cut to Ahsoka and Hera on Corellia taking a look at Morgan's facilities. And oh boy, look at the volume. Nothing is real anymore, isn't it? Anyway, they start talking about how when the New Republic took over, they kept the same workers as before. This is an attempt to add depth to world building, and it's laughable, but I'll get to it later. Anyway, cut to Sabine and she's getting her bandage removed. And oh my god, would you look at that? She's completely healed. 'Tis but a scratch. No, seriously, it's incredible that the charred hole that the lightsaber left is now completely healed. Even though the lightsaber would have burnt a significant amount of skin off, not just including the entry hole, but also internal organs like her stomach, intestines, bones possibly, nerve endings, and even muscle tissue. And this doesn't even include the surrounding tissue around the injury. But apparently Dave forgot how thermodynamics work as well, so we'll move on. Then Hu Yang gives her the longest pep talk of her life, and then the scene ends. Then cut back to Ahsoka and Hera, and they continue their investigation into Morgan's facilities. They see a hyperdrive on the dock and want to know what class of ship it is for. The guy looks it up, and it's classified.
Classified. I'm a general. Nothing's classified to me.
Hera, you realize that there are other higher ranks other than general, right? And the fact that she says, nothing is classified to me, that's not how the military works, Hera. You're a general, you should know this. Haven't you been in the rebellion since it started? I assume the ranking is the same as before. Did Filoni forget how the military works as well? Anyway, Hera and Ahsoka commit a crime by threatening him to unseal documents. Then Ahsoka asks about the HK class assassin droids that attacked them. A droid walks up to them and says that, oh yeah, I saw them. Actually, they were on a transport right now. Wow, how incredibly convenient that Hera and Ahsoka were right where they needed to be at the exact time, while at the same time being told the information they needed precisely when the bad guys were just about to leave. Okay then. Anyway, some of the people working start attacking Ahsoka and Hera, but fail because Ahsoka's an ex-Jedi Knight. It's crazy to me that these people thought this was a good time to attack. They're completely fine with attacking a New Republic general and a Jedi, and they think they'll win. What did you think was gonna happen? Nice try, I guess? Anyway, Ahsoka goes and chases the ship, but is stopped by Dark Souls Man, and they start fighting, and oh boy. Hey, remember when that random person on the internet fixed the color grading of this scene within 3 hours of it being released on the internet? Yeah, I remember that. I would guess proper color grading and lighting is too expensive for this show. Anyway, so Ahsoka kills the droid, and then the Dark Souls Man activates his lightsaber, and oh boy, why is it that small? Why wouldn't you just begin the engagement with both sides of your lightsaber activated to make the odds lean even more in your favor? At least Phantom Menace understood this. During this engagement, Dark Souls Man gets a beeping message from his gauntlet, and for a second I thought he was gonna fly away. I really thought he was gonna do it, but he didn't. I don't think Dave Filoni has the balls to do that in live action yet. But anyway, he throws his lightsaber and starts running towards a ship that starts shooting at Ahsoka. And it misses every shot. If anything, it looks like it's shooting at Dark Souls Man more than Ahsoka. Then he just jumps onto the ship and Ahsoka lets them get away. But wait, hey Ahsoka, can you grab ships with the Force? You've done it before. And hey Dark Souls Man, can't you move objects with the Force? Why don't you take your spinning lightsaber and guide it into Ahsoka rather than just passing by her? And hey Ahsoka, why don't you attempt to destroy the lightsaber while it's passing you? You could probably do it and it would make the future encounters with this enemy easier since he wouldn't have a proper weapon. Oh, you're not gonna do that. Okay, we're just gonna look at each other menacingly and not try to grab the ship. I guess Dave forgot how his characters work again. While this is going on, Hera and Chopper are chasing a ship with the hyperdrive, and Hera tells Chopper to get ready with a tracking beacon. And when he's searching for it, he's just looking in a box like this that's just open on the side of the ship. How is nothing in this box flying off? Hera is dodging a lot of gunfire right now, and the amount of force these objects would be experiencing would be enough to just throw them out of the box. But no, they're just completely still. It's almost like whoever made this doesn't care about anything actually working and just wants to play with his action figures. Anyway, during this fight, Chopper throws a tracking beacon onto the ship right before it jumps into hyperspace. How lucky. Cut to Sabine in her room and she's deciding to put on her Mandalorian armor again, in the longest way possible. I know people are gonna say that it's calling back to this scene with Kanan and the moment in Rebels, but the difference here is that Kanan is a good character. Sabine is just kind of here, and she's not that great from what we've been shown in this show alone. She doesn't care about murals made to honor her friends, she's incredibly irresponsible, and she was completely okay with putting an entire hospital and possibly an entire city at risk for absolutely no reason. So no, show, you didn't earn this moment. Anyway, cut to Ahsoka and Hera, and they are arresting everyone at the Corellia facility.
What a mess.
Yeah, Hera, that's what I'm saying right now too. And then, oh no, what's that? Did you give this alien a hat? Why would you do that? Just leave it off. It's too small for him. What am I watching right now? Oh well, at least it's a good meme image for the internet. Also, what does Ahsoka mean when she says this?
How can they still be loyal to the Empire?
It's not loyalty. It's greed.
The Imperialists specifically vocalized their loyalty to the Empire when they attacked you earlier. If it was greed, they would have completely changed their mindset by now and would have been in complete support of the New Republic in order to get the government's attention and make profit. I would compare this to companies during Pride Month turning their profile pictures on the internet to include the Pride flag on their American accounts, but in Middle Eastern countries keeping it the same. That, my friends, is greedy, showing superficial support for a cause only to turn their back on it in other circumstances when it means that they can make more money. And that is a very interesting concept to delve into with the Star Wars universe. We see some political climate in Andor with Mon Mothma's character, showing the changes in government power and seeing the pressure that is caused by that and seeing how that pressure affects Mon Mothma through her day-to-day life trying to support a rebellion. But diving into the more economic side of things is just as interesting, especially in this time period of Ahsoka. But that's the thing, it's the Ahsoka show, made by someone who has no interest in diving deeper into how things actually work, but is more interested in making things work for his story, whether it makes sense or not. Cut to Ahsoka entering her ship and she gets a call from Sabine, telling her that she's ready. Then we see a complete reshoot of a previous scene in Rebels with Sabine touching the mural, putting on her helmet, and Ahsoka the white, except it isn't accurate at all. Ahsoka isn't in white clothing, and Sabine doesn't put her helmet on. They then leave to find where the tracking beacon ended up. Then we cut to Morgan and this giant hyperspace ring saying that the final hyperdrive is being installed for the Eye of Sion. And my first question when she calls Balin is, why is Dark Souls man standing like that? Why is he standing with so much swagger? But Morgan asks Balin about Corellia and the trouble that Ahsoka caused. She then says just weird dialogue, and Balin starts talking about Ahsoka and that her presence in the Force is elusive but vivid, and says that killing her would be a shame. This is an okay attempt at character building. I actually think that Balin is one of the more interesting characters in the show, although it's not saying much. I think it's very interesting to write a character as if they respect the Jedi Order and they respect Ahsoka, seeing her as one of the last members of a creed that he used to belong to, and having respect for her because of that. I wouldn't call it deep character writing, I would just call it different. And if you want to take that as a compliment, then go ahead. But that's the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka, and man, we're starting rough. And from the early reviews that I've seen, these are the good episodes. The next couple of episodes are called boring and slow, and if the first 2 weren't boring and slow enough, then I have no idea what to think about that. I wouldn't be surprised that in the next episode we just get 30 minutes of just silent staring for the first half of it. And honestly, that's all the show is currently. There's so much space between lines of dialogue being spoken, almost like Dave Filoni is waiting for the audience to break down in tears or scream in shock by what's happening because, oh my god, it's the character I remember from the animated show. I saw the thing and I clapped. And we're already seeing this on the internet. People are falling to their knees over the cheapest tricks in the book. I'm not saying you can't have pauses between dialogue. It does help seeing characters react to certain information, and it can help subtext in the media. But the problem here is that there is no information to react to, and there is no subtext in which to meditate on. Moving on to the production design of the show, and there is none. The costumes are so cheaply made, it looks worse than most cosplays. Hera is possibly the worst of this. Her makeup is terrible and looks like they just spray painted her green and called it good, adding no actual shadows or depth and color in her face. Sabine doesn't look great either, and actually she's just wearing the same clothes as Hera, and even her armor looks pretty rough as well, but at least it's accurate to the animation. The best things in terms of looks is probably the droids. I think Hu Yang is fine. The movement of him is kind of jarring sometimes, and it doesn't always line up with what he's saying. Just kind of looks like he's a head on a stick that's just bobbing up and down at times, but at least he looks okay. And the assassin droids are fine as well. Oh, I also forgot to mention Baylan and Shin's costumes, which I actually like them. They're really cool, especially Shin's. Her design is really neat. I like the dark Jedi aesthetic of their robes. It's really cool. And also some armor plating sprinkled around their costume too is really cool. But the worst thing is the color grading, or the lack thereof. I feel like if Dave Filoni was to address this, he would say something along the lines of, "Oh yeah, I was trying to mimic the way Rebels looked." And to that, I say, stop talking. I'm not a fan of the animation style of Rebels, but at least it had color. And again, I'll put up the video of the guy fixing the color grading within 3 hours of that fight scene being released to the public. And also the lighting is terrible at times too, or sorry, correction, it's terrible most of the time. There's only a handful of shots where I could tell you that the lighting looks competent. And the choreography is also laughably unbelievable.
Jedi's primary weapon's a lightsaber. There need to be a lot of lightsaber fights. And they have to be good, because our fans know the difference.
So you're telling me that Ahsoka didn't kill these droids during their fall, aka the best time to kill them considering that they would have been surprised by it.
And they have to be good, because our fans know the difference.
You're also telling me that these droids make it audibly known to everyone around them that they are going to self-destruct.
And they have to be good, because our fans know the difference.
You're also telling me that Sabine is able to do this with one hand while taking on a trained Force user using both hands and her body weight.
And they have to be good, because our fans know the difference.
You're also telling me that Shin didn't swipe her lightsaber up, down, left, right, or any other direction in order to confirm the kill, because apparently being stabbed with a lightsaber isn't powerful enough.
And they have to be good, because our fans know the difference.
And you're also telling me that Dark Souls Man didn't use both ends of his lightsaber during the beginning of this engagement.
And they have to be good, because our fans know the difference.
You're also telling me that Ahsoka didn't decide to destroy the lightsaber while it passed by her.
And they have to be good, because our fans know the difference.
You're also telling me that Dark Souls Man didn't pull the lightsaber directly into Ahsoka's back.
And they have to be good.
You're also telling me that Ahsoka didn't try pulling the ship down with the Force.
Because our fans know the difference.
Congratulations, Dave Filoni. You've embarrassed yourself again. But anyway, that's been me reviewing, aka beating the life out of an already lifeless corpse that is Star Wars at this point. Tune in next time to see if Ahsoka and Star Wars is truly saved. Thank you, and please leave me alone.